Hello and welcome to another Gobsmack Comics comic review. Obviously I think this is probably going to be how we do our next few weeks. Reviews and stuff via video. We'll try and do a podcast where we are like all in different rooms, maybe like a remote sort of podcast. But in the meantime I will do things like this. Hopefully this is going to come out all right. I'm working with some new stuff, so I don't know whether it's going to come out okay or not. Hopefully it will. I'm going to review 4 comics this evening. One called Artemis and the Assassin from Aftershock Comics. Then we've got 2 from Dark Horse. One called Starship Down. One called X-Ray Robot. And then finally, from AWA Upshot, this is AWA Studios, and this is J. Michael Straczynski's Resistance. So let's get started. We'll start with, I'll basically review them in the order that I read them. So this is Artemis the Assassin. It's by Stephanie Phillips, who recently was writing, or still is I think, The Butcher of Paris for Dark Horse, and she also wrote Descendant for Aftershock. The art is by Megan Hetrick and Francesca Fantini. Lauren Affey is the colourist, and Larger Worlds Troy Pateri did the letters. Now this is a good book. I enjoyed this one. It's easy to digest. It's basically a story about, obviously, someone called Artemis and the assassin. Now, the assassin starts off in Russia, and it's of the Tsar's period. So she arrives, kills the Tsars, and then disappears through a portal back to sometime in the future. We don't know exactly when. And is then sent on another mission to kill a woman who has a code name of Artemis during World War II. It kind of ends in a cliffhanger kind of way, so you don't really know what's going to happen. It feels kind of Assassin's Creed-y in the way that it's portrayed so far. Whether it goes down a similar route, I don't know. The art is nice, the pages are laid out well, you're not blinded by tons and tons of exposition or anything like that. The story is, like I say, manageable, easily digestible. It's interesting, I think it will go places. I would recommend this book. If you like kind of that Assassin's Creed kind of vibe where, you know, you've got a specific person and they're jumping through time to change things or do stuff. It's a first issue, so you don't really know where it's going to go. But so far, there's enough there to know that I think it'll be worth reading number 2. Second book I read was called Starship Down. This is from Dark Horse, and it's written by Justin Giampioli. The art is, hang on, let me have a look, Andrea Muti, colours by Vladimir Popov, and the letters are Sal Cipriano. I really like this one. It really appeals to me. It feels very much like it could make a good movie. The way it starts, it's basically this woman here. For the life of me, have forgotten her name, which is not great when you're doing a review. Dr. Young. She is being taken in to what she believes is to go and see some cave paintings. It's in the ice, and she is then told that obviously it's not just cave paintings they're going for. She then sees this massive spaceship, and then they go into the spaceship. Something happens, and that's where it ends, on a cliffhanger for the next book. In amongst that, there's a lot of international tension between the Russians and the Americans, and also between, they've brought the church in on it as well because of the religious implications of what they found. There's a nice little bit of payoff between the characters. It's an interesting story, and the characters feel well rounded. Dr. Young specifically feels very natural and very and well written. The artwork is lovely. There's not really much that I could fault it on this one. I think that certainly it's worth, if you're a sci-fi fan, it has traits of Alien, possibly. I don't know whether it's just because it's got the kind of Arctic setting, but you could get a feeling of The Thing, but I don't think it's going to go down that route, maybe towards the horror elements, but that's just coming from this first book. I don't know particularly. But yeah, I think one worth checking out, and I won't tell you what happens at the end because you want to read it. So that's Starship Down from Dark Horse Comics. Another one from Dark Horse Comics is X-Ray Robot, and this is from Michael Allred, who created iZombie and did a run on Marvel's Daredevil, and is pretty prolific in getting some really good stuff going. I would say this book, see, the thing is, every single book I read today are good quality. I think this one is going to appeal to a lot of people. It's about a guy who is running an experiment to send a robot into an alternate dimension, and he is powering it, not powering it, but he's controlling it via virtual reality, basically. When the robot comes back from the first journey, he sees he's brought his wife and kids in to show off the experiment to them, and you know, to be part of the history. And when the robot comes back, he sees a different wife and different kids, and then he starts to have hallucinations, and you don't know whether he's kind of slipping between the dimensions or whether he's just messed up his mind. And then they go back into the experiment, and then things become more and more twisted, and he becomes kind of more melded with the robot, and then weird stuff happens and so on. This is a good book. Allred's a really good writer, and the artwork, which I believe is written by is drawn by, I presume, is his wife, which is Laura Allred. And then you've got Nate Paycos of Blambot, who did the lettering there as well. If you like something a bit different, the female characters are very spunky. There's a brilliant bit at the start of the book with one of the female doctors. She's superb. The art is bold, bright, colourful, very in-your-face designs, lots of strong kind of pen lines. And I do believe this one will appeal to a lot of people. I think it will probably get funnier. Certainly, it's going to get weirder, and I would say definitely check that one out if you like stuff that's a little bit more crazy. I think that's probably the best way I can describe that one. Good one, good. Now, finally, we have J. Michael Straczynski's The Resistance, 1 of 6. AWA Studios, or it stands for, because I can never remember, Artists, Writers and Artisans Incorporated, which is a mouthful, which is probably why they shortened it to AWA. J. Michael Straczynski, obviously is a very well-known author. He wrote and created Babylon 5 TV show. He had a very good run on Amazing Spider-Man when he was with Romita Jr. This is a good book, and in the current climate that we're in, it's a pretty scary book. So Straczynski's the writer, Mike Deodato Jr. is the artist, Frank Martin is the colourist, and Sal Cipriano is the letterer. What's scary about this within our current climate is this is about a pandemic that wipes out most of the population of the planet. It goes through, it's really cleverly written. In the way that these panels here that have six different viewpoints, and it's like listening to all of the chatter over social media at the moment. You know, you've got scientists, you've got conspiracy theorists, you've got just random people and their thoughts on it, and they're all conflicting. Then it goes on to what is happening. This virus will kill people within kind of like a day of them being infected by it. It shows it from the British perspective, the American perspective, the Chinese perspective, and a very human perspective as well, which is kind of, like I say, in this current climate that we're all dealing with, it kind of hit home. It's quite emotional actually in places. Straczynski's writing is nothing more than spectacular, really. The artwork is fantastic as well. It really blends together with the story to create this kind of sense of upheaval, despair, everything that I guess a lot of us are feeling at the moment. Maybe my own personal feelings at the moment have been projected onto this, but the fact that this book has come out today, which is Wednesday as I'm recording, is kind of weird, but okay. Then all of a sudden, for a little ray of hope, the virus just disappears, and lots of people take credit for it. There's a company that says that they had found a trial drug which they administered and it turned it off and everything. But then as the story goes on, you begin to realise that the people that have survived may have been changed in some way, and some of the people that survived may have had something to do with the way that the virus ended. And the person that took over as America's president has brought in some very draconian things, and I think the resistance are going to be the people that are rising up against his new world order. I love this book, and it is so topical, and there's no way they could have planned for the fact that we would be dealing with what we are dealing with on a daily basis at the moment. Obviously not to that kind of extent, thankfully, but it is still very serious, obviously, what we're going through, and that resonates a little bit kind of badly, really. And whether that is going to put people off reading it, because do you really want to read about a pandemic that's going on whilst living through one? I don't know. But it is brilliant, and that's all I can say about it, really. It certainly won't, not everyone will want to read it at the moment, so I'm hoping this video is going to come out okay. You know, obviously we are in an unprecedented situation at the moment. My shop is kind of, we don't know whether we're going to be open or closed by the end of the week. We are still continuing to do deliveries and everything. In the meantime, I am going to try and do as much content for you as I possibly can. So there's one thing that you've all got to look forward to. Tomorrow I might try and do another video, possibly going to do an unboxing of this fella, which is this 1/6 scale Saitama from One Punch Man. And so that's a 3-0 figure, and possibly this as well, which is this incredible Millennium Falcon desk light. Both of these are in stock at Gobsmack at the moment. I've got a green screen behind me. I've never done green screen before, so it'll either be a green screen when you see this, or it'll be something much more interesting. Who knows? I don't know. I'm making this up as I go along. So, in all seriousness, be safe, look after yourselves. Oh, I was going to say, in the words of the great Jerry Springer, look after yourselves and each other, and I will hopefully see you all soon, and be safe. Thank you.